All right, let me go ahead and do this. Desktop share. Y'all are about to see this. All right, it's going to be a little messy for a second. All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll wait for another couple of seconds. Let's start let me move this up here. I'm so happy you all are here. I'm so happy to see your beautiful faces. I have some helpers because there's no way that I can keep a tab on everything. Hey, Jerry. There's no way I can keep a tab on everything and present. So I'm so thankful for these lovely ladies who are here to help. Just in case you can't get my attention or so we've got Georgia, we've got Rihanna, and we have Erica here. Erica might not be here just yet, or she might be here, but Georgia and Rihanna for sure are here to assist.
I'm here.
Perfect. Hi, Erica. No worries. You just sit back and relax, lady. And let's see, do we have any messages? Hey, Ashley. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Ashley let us know she's driving. So Georgia, Rihanna, I need you ladies to let me know if there's something important I need to know about in the chat. And we are going to go and get started. So welcome to Who's Hijacked Your Amygdala. Thank you all so much for coming. Believe it or not, it's a big feat to even show up to an event like this, because typically what happens with the amygdala that we'll talk about here in a few minutes is that thing will actually hijack any progress to get out of the loop. It's kind of wild like that. So typically before an opportunity to do things differently, it will rear its head and pull you back in the loop if you don't know what you're dealing with. So let's go ahead and get started. Oops. So the two things I want you all to do is to play out and have fun. My values are fun, freedom, and honesty. So there's structure to this event, and I'll cover that here in a second. And the only reason we have structure is so it goes as smoothly as possible. Otherwise, we'd just be having a big party here. So play all out, have fun, and there's a couple pieces of that. So just a few house rules. There's no fluff here. And there's a lot of workshops. I've been to a lot of workshops where there was a lot of fluff. There was a lot of skimming the surface. There was a lot of not real actionable steps. That's not the case here. I'm going to cover as much information as I can that you can apply now. And a lot of clients that I've worked with have told me that on the back end of just this information, and some information we'll share here today, they've had bigger transformations than a lot of paid workshops. So if there's any distractions going on, I'd ask you to put those aside if you can for the next 90 minutes, whether it's the Facebook tab, the Instagram tab, whatever tabs are open, whether they're on your brain or on your computer. If you can just close those out for the next 90 minutes, I promise I'm going to make it worthwhile. So no fluff, stay on mute during the duration. But if you have a question, I want to answer it in real time. And the reason to stay on mute is, I don't know if you guys have been on those Zoom calls or webinars where there's these really random noises in the background. And it's like, what is that? So I want to answer your question in real time and be responsive to you and attentive to you. This is about you, not me. So stay on mute unless you have a question. And if you have a question, just raise your little digital hand. Do all you know where that is?
Yeah, I found it.
Perfect, perfect. So raise the little digital hand at the bottom, and it should pop you to the top of my screen, but Rihanna, Georgia, Erica, you're resting today until the end, okay? You just relax, lady. But Rihanna and Georgia, if you see a digital hand that I don't, please let me know. And also, we are recording. That being said, there's been a high demand for a replay. Several people had last minute things come up. So if you don't want to be recorded asking a question, you can put your question in the chat, and Rihanna and Georgia will let me know periodically, hey, we got a question. Because what I want to do is answer the questions or ease the concerns, or like neutralize the distraction in real time. The way my brain works is, if there's a question up here, I can't focus. And I know everyone's not like that, But if that's going on for you, I want to ease that so that you can be in the position to receive today, because there's been a lot of work going on here, and I really, there's the potential for big transformation for everyone here today. So raise the digital hands, ask in real time, or if you don't want to be on the recording, pop your little question in the chat. And there's going to be time for question and answer at the end too. To me, that's one of the most important pieces. And we have some special guests. So, yep, stay on mute, raise your little hands. Keep your camera on throughout if you can, unless it's dangerous for you. Like if you're driving or if there's something where you just can't and it's not safe, let us know in the chat just so we know you're okay. The way this is set up, this is a very energetically, a very energetic specific space. There's going to be, there's a lot of potential for transformation here, and energetics are very important when that comes into play. So everyone's important, and it's way more fun to speak to faces and personalities than blank screens. So as long as I can see you and see how the information is landing, perfect. If something's not landing or you have a question, please let me know, or pop it in the chat. If there's something else and you're like, hey, I'm having a moment, I really need help, you can direct message Georgia or Rihanna, and they can assist. I don't foresee that happening, but just in case. And also I have a treat for everyone at the end who stays, and it's a pretty good one. So enough with the house rules already. Let's get going. Oh, and if the camera goes off and we're unsure if you're there or not, or if you're okay, Rihanna and Georgia are going to reach out and be like, hey, are you okay? Is something going on? Do you need help? And if there's no response, we'll just kindly remove you. No hard feelings, nothing like that. It's just, we want to keep the energy pure here. We want to have high engagement. I want you to get the most out of this. Pretend like you're paying for it. And so now's your chance to leave if the house rules are not for you, and if this is not for you. But if you're staying, I'm assuming you're here for it, and it's going to be amazing. Okay, awesome. So the big promise that we gave and that we're going to achieve here is, one, you're going to understand what the amygdala is. Two, you're going to know what the number one thing hijacking your amygdala is. And three, you're going to know what to do in order to control it or neutralize that thing when it erupts or when it shows its ugly head. And the bonus is going to be revealed at the end to help you get your amygdala under control easier, faster, and with less effort. I feel like this is my life's work. I lived in this for years, y'all. So if it's okay with you all, can I get agreement? Can I fire hose? Like, instead of like trying to keep the information contained, can I fire hose for you all? Can I get some nods? Okay. I'll fire hose. And if, perfect. If I'll bring it home at the end, if you're like, okay, this is a lot, where do I start? I got a treat for you. Don't worry, we'll handle it. I promise. So that being said, I'm going to share what this looked like in my life from my point of view, if that's okay with everyone. Everyone's got different belief systems. Everyone's had different life experiences. I respect them all. But if I have permission, I'm going to share very vulnerably and show you how this unfolded in my life that led me here. Is that all right with everyone? You can
Sure.
agree? Okay, perfect. Okay. So in the beginning, I was born into generational trauma. And the way I believe now, if we really do, if it is in fact true that as little spirits, little souls on the other side, we decide what body we come into, we decide what circumstances we come into, and we sign contracts, which I fully believe that. In retrospect, I'm like, what was I thinking? It didn't have to be this hard. What is going on here? Why did I sign up for this? So my mom died at 5. My dad didn't want a girl. And what that meant was I ended up in a home with my aunt, my father's sister, and her son was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And she was retired. My uncle was retired. And I also watched him die a slow death of Alzheimer's. So there was a lot that happened in a very short period of time, the formative years of my life, that I didn't realize would have an impact later. I had no idea what that meant. And I'll talk about developmentally where that landed me as an adult. So I could overcome as a child, but what happened was I learned how to people please. I learned how to be invisible. I learned how to be useful, and I learned how to be the best at whatever was assigned to me to get the love from anyone around me and to get my needs met. And that was good when I was a kid. That got me to survival. That got me to the other side. But I was only doing what my nervous system determined was necessary for me to survive the situation. And so what this meant was I never connected with myself. I didn't know who I was. I had no identity. When I was asked once in chiropractic school, hey, Caroline, what would make you happy? I honestly didn't know. I just had a group of friends that were doing this thing. And so that was my default. Hey, I'm going to do this because I'm close to these people. If someone had asked me, hey, what do you want? What is it that you want? I had no idea. And so the disconnect that I felt was real. And what happened was I ended up leaning on alcohol, dating apps, Netflix, shopping, and medications. Like there was a time in my life where I don't remember all the details because I was in constant, how do I numb the pain? And I didn't even know what that meant. I spent most of my time in a bar. You see here, I don't really even know who this guy is. I'm hoping he's okay that I shared this. But I spent most of my time in a bar or managing headaches and migraines or chugging coffee to function or taking sleeping pills to sleep. I literally had to chemically induce every function of a human body because I was so stuck in survival mode, managing pain, emotional pain. And I didn't know what that meant. And I wasn't even aware. So at one point I was on Lexapro, Acifex, Ambien, sumatriptan, and lots of alcohol. And there were other things too, but we're recording, so I'm not going to mention those. So first, what happened is my body fell apart. This started really early. This started at about 13. I started getting headaches and stress headaches at 13. And I thought that was accomplishment. I thought that meant I'm really doing something with my life. I have enough to be stressed about. Like I'm accomplishing enough to be stressed about. And 16, it was normal. Started bleeding into my relationships. I couldn't keep one. I either got bored thinking it wasn't fun or like I had no concept of how to keep a healthy relationship or how to be in one. Then it started impacting my business and money. And none of it made sense. Like there was no reason that any of this should have happened. So I had so much body stuff going on. Weight gain was the major thing that I'd battled since I was 13. Had no idea why. I can tell you why now. But at this time, I was like, I would really like to see if I can make my body look like what I want, because this is how I can be happy, right? If I look good or I achieve a look, I'll be happy. That's what I believed. At this time, migraines were normal. I had at least 1 2-day migraine a month that would take me up for 2 days. I couldn't digest food. I did 5 bodybuilding shows total. Just a few details. I'm not sure if, this may make it a little real, but I lost 40 pounds in 20 weeks and then struggled to stay there, not knowing that it wasn't anything in my immediate environment. It was what was stored at my cellular memory that kept playing out over and over and over again that led to behavior. So I wasn't happy unless I received compliments on weight loss or that super, whoa, like you look great. And this is probably the most miserable I've ever physically felt in my life. And nobody knew it. And I didn't want to admit it, right? Because I was getting all this positive feedback of, wow, look at what you've accomplished. Like, that's amazing. And so I was like, well, this sucks. I can't really enjoy food. I can't even digest it. I can only digest egg whites. Maybe if I find the right partner, everything will be good. That didn't help either because I kept attracting chaotic or inconsistent relationships where I just didn't know why no one would pick me and stay with it. And the real reason is I couldn't pick me. And then I thought if I made enough money, I'd be able to solve any problem that came my way. Problems just kept coming, y'all. They just kept coming. So here's a look at the picture on the right is like the proverbial universal brick to the face, right? I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't listening to any of my mentors telling me, hey, Caroline, you're really off the mark here. Like you are you are not aligned with your life purpose. You're not happy. And I angrily said, I am too happy. So it's kind of funny how that works. This picture in the middle, that's my hair was thinning. I had to keep my hair short, not to see little strings hanging down. My face was so like you can see the stress on my face. My eyes were puffy. I looked totally different. All of my glands were swollen. Not only was I not addressing what was happening at the soul level, really, that my body was holding on to, I was trying to force the outside to look different, which only compounded things. So instead of going for the deep, deep, deep stuff, I tried to do everything environmental, right? I controlled what I ate. I forced myself to get up and work out. I forced myself to do a whole lot of things instead of sitting and asking myself, who am I? How did I get here? What makes me happy? So really, this led to me getting a food science degree, a chiropractic degree, no less than 20 certifications, trying to figure out, how do I heal my body? How do I attract more money? How do I get a life partner? I didn't want to admit the last two, but it was easy for me to say, hey, I want to figure out how to heal my body. At the time, the attracting things was kind of taboo. It's picked up now, thank goodness. I even worked in research, I have published research. So with all that knowledge, nothing worked long-term, nothing. I studied advanced energetics to see if I could attract everything. I knew I had blocks, and became a Reiki master, tried to build this beautiful business, which wasn't really what I wanted. And I had no idea. I was only doing what I thought I was supposed to do. So started studying quantum field and quantum mechanics. And until I finally let go of everything external to me that I thought would define me as a human, and sit in the immense pain that I had been avoiding my entire life, because if you don't know how to get out of the pain, it feels like it's never going to end, right? I couldn't connect with myself. So when I finally did that, I finally realized I've built something I hate and I didn't even know it. How do I get out of this? Like I've built a life on things that isn't even me. And I'm trying to build something that represents me instead of just doubling down on who I am. So I lived in survival mode. I literally had to learn how to human. The things, and this is more how I feel now. So it's kind of like a free fall, right? Like there's nothing, it feels like there's nothing to catch me in the bottom, but it's freaking fun, y'all. Like it feels free, it feels fun. The difference here is, and I'm constantly going through my process, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have it all figured out. Even with this workshop, I had to realize, you know what? I don't even know exactly what I'm going to touch on for everyone, because I'm going to serve people here, especially when it gets to Q&A. But I've prepared myself, and I'm just going to show up and do the best I can for everyone who's here. So it's like living in uncertainty all of the time, which is not comfortable, but it's a lot more fun than being trapped in something that I built by default. So everything that we learn psychologically, behaviorally, even how to human at the most basic level, which is the unconscious level, AKA automatic programming, I missed all of that from 0 to 21. So I had to learn how to be a human in this world as an adult, as if I matter most. And that's when I finally mattered most in every decision I made. And y'all, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, especially women, and it is really hard for us to put ourselves in the center of our own worlds for so many reasons. But when that happens, when you realize you have your own unique gifts, when you have your own unique purpose and abilities, and you really belong just as you are, it's beautiful. And so when I finally accepted that I matter, I have my own unique gifts, I have a unique purpose and abilities, and I belong, life got totally different. And so building a business from ease and flow, living life from ease and flow, to me is where women shine. Y'all, we're literally built to bring life into this world. That is crazy awesome. That is powerful. But sometimes there's stuff hanging on in our bodies that's got to go for us to become the true I'm going to call it goddesses, okay? The true goddesses that every one of us are. And to me, this is what women deserve. They deserve to be the center of their own universe. They deserve to be the queen of their own domain. And this is where generational healing happens and where the frequency of the entire world shifts. I believe the whole world can shift in one generation if enough women heal and drop the garbage programming that's keeping them either playing small, stressed out, unhealthy, not enough money, disconnected from their ideal partner, whatever it is. So, okay, enough of that. Let's get up. So yes, it's my personal mission to raise the frequency of the world. It's possible. I'll talk about the baseline frequency here in a bit. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. And there's some special guests at the end who will share their experience of raising their baseline frequency and completely reconstructing their world from the inside out, as if it's just, wow, stuff's just working now. Do I have permission to swear a little bit? Is that okay? Okay. It's like shit just starts working out. It's like, you mean I don't have to like work as hard anymore? There's actually some at the end who are working less and making more money, or doing less and collecting information about what they want to change, or receiving and putting in a different order for the universe. So there's several examples at the end. So yeah, I want to empower 10,000 women entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. I'm going to talk about that. There's a subtle difference. You're either in the business of business or the business of being yourself. Really, we're all in the business of self. So breaking generational cycles and curses and building a life of your dreams while loving every stinking second of it is my goal for all you women. So are we all ready to play out? Play all out? We ready? Sweet. I want everyone to take a big breath in all the way into your belly. Big one. You can even make noise. You're on mute. It's fine. And put yourself in the position to receive. Go ahead and take 3 huge breaths. Wonderful. Put yourself in the position to receive. This is all about you. This time here is for you. It's going to be magical. We're going to awaken the magic inside of you. So, step 1, what's the amygdala? All right, this little amygdala is an almond-shaped organ in the brain. It's not going anywhere. It is in the oldest part of the brain and hardwired into our psyche. It's never going away. Its only job is to alert us of danger and store the memory of past significant events, whether you remember it or not. It stores most events from 0 to 5 unconsciously, and those events and information are what typically drives all of our behavior, which is why you can have the best goals in the world and keep not getting there for whatever reason and stuff just going wrong. So it stores information via emotion. When it picks up on something, when it picks up on something in the environment that it already has a memory of or information stored, it's going to alert you and it's going to have a physiological reaction. But the way that this is triggered is via one of the senses: taste, sight, touch, or smell. So imagine the favorite meal that maybe a grandparent made, or maybe your grandma's apple pie, or maybe some home cooked meal that mom or a caregiver made that just always made you, it has happy memories attached. That's stored memory with emotion. And when you come across that smell, you're going to have the same feeling. Anyone ever experienced that? Yeah, it's powerful, right? Like imagine the cologne and smell good industry. That's why we all are, I don't know about y'all, but I'm obsessed with smell. But we as humans are obsessed with smell because they come packed with memory and they elicit a feeling. Or if you hear a song that maybe a high school sweetheart who put you through the ringer reminded them of you. Anyone have a song that was their song back in the day? And if you hear it now, it brings back all those memories. So. Yeah. So it can either be smells, sounds, you see something. Y'all see those beautiful beach pictures? Like those get a lot of attention on the social media. Most of us love the beach because it has such healing capacity, and even seeing that brings back the feeling. So Everything is stored in pictures. And whatever the amygdala decides is dangerous, the body will respond to, whether you like it or not. So activation may show up as increased blood pressure, dizziness, worry, anxiety, stress, fight or flight, panic, overwhelm, much more. I started getting migraines, heavy legs, random pains in my body. So this is not a limited list, but depending on how you as a human respond to your alarm system will determine how it tells you there's a problem. It may be so much panic and anxiety that you have no choice but to stop everything you're doing and go to shutdown. Or it may be extreme physical pain that happens that gives you no choice to stop and stay safe. Shows up different for everyone. So the key here is when the body's response doesn't match the environment, opportunities can be missed for human growth, whether it's relationship, whether it's business or money, or whether it's improving health. Whatever category it is that you're like, hey, this piece of my life could be better, I'm focused here, that's where opportunity is going to be missed the most due to the amygdala. So it could show up like it's time to panic and avoid death. But if there's no actual danger, that's your signal of, okay, my amygdala is really running the show. There's some programming going on that it's not helping me move toward a better life for me and my dream future. So the same system designed to keep you safe is the same system that's going to alert you when something is changing, even if it's good for you. And if you can't discern between actual danger and opportunity in the form of calculated risk, growth will never occur. And this is where most people stay stuck in the loop of amygdala hijack. And again, I'm going to remind you, we have some folks at the end who are going to share who can tell you all about this. I'm looking at you, Kristen. So calculated risk is required to build confidence. I have a lot of ladies tell me, look, it's a confidence issue. I have all these goals. I know I have the skills. I just can't. I don't have the internal confidence. It's like I'm faking it. There could be two reasons for that. Either you haven't taken the calculated risk and your body doesn't understand you're actually going to survive, or there's really old programming going on at the cellular level that is in direct conflict with everything you know logically, and your body will win every time. If there's stored memory, usually happens from 0 to 5, can even happen in the womb, that conflicts, that's never been cleared effectively, that will show up as a body symptom if it's the only way that your amygdala knows, okay, we don't know if this is safe, shut it down, do the thing. So your body's number one goal is to protect you, even if it's from positive change. So this is why discerning between actual danger and opportunity is the one thing that most people are missing. And so what happens is usually the thing that people or women need help the most with, like that one thing, like most women I've talked to, and I'm talking to myself here too, but most women I've talked to, there's one thing that's like, if I could just get rid of that thing, nothing would stop me. I would be on top of the world. That's usually the thing that will stop you from getting help, believe it or not. And money is like the easiest thing, right? Because we can quantify it. So let's say I just can't get my money under control, or like I can't figure out the money block or the money flow issue. That'll usually be the number one reason why you can't get the help. I've been there. Or let's say depression has been running the show for a very long time. What will happen is your logical brain, and the smarter you are, the slicker this thing is, right? Your logical brain will say, oh, I'm not in a position to do anything extra right now. We're just going to have to stay here until we're better. Well, that one thing, that's the thing that you need help with, is going to typically end up being the thing that keeps you from getting the help to move out of the cycle. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that can get confusing. Does that make sense? Okay. So the amygdala will sabotage success if you don't know what you're dealing with, or it can be your North Star to exponential transformation. Okay, for instance, I'm going to use myself as an example. I was super irritated, right, that everything wasn't perfect before this event. Even though everything was prepped beforehand, I had it in my mind that everything had to be perfect and that like the worst thing in the world was going to happen because I didn't know the outcome at the end of the event yet. even though we haven't even done it yet, right? Like y'all's beautiful selves hadn't even showed up. Can anybody else relate to that? Like, I need to know what the end's going to look like before I can be cool just experiencing it and enjoying it. Yeah. So it's like that level of this, that's one of my upper limits. And so most of us have an upper limit a telltale sign. And here's where it's different from mindset. Mindset is being able to focus on positive possibility and positive potential while also dealing with what's in front of you without spinning up or shutting down, like managing the mind, right? The monkey mind. What's going on at the unconscious level has the potential to press the kill switch every time. And so if you don't know what you're dealing with, it can just seem like something out of control completely took you out. And this is where advanced energetics comes in. And I'm going to clean this up at the end because I know it's probably quite confusing. So the number one thing hijacking your amygdala, you ready for this? It's the thing that you say yes to. It's the thing you need to say yes to that you've been saying no to, or the thing that you need to say no to that you've been saying yes to. Basically, whatever needs to change that's too scary to change. And what I see most is the fear of bridging the gap, and we'll talk about this, is typically, I don't know what my life will look like on the other side. Can anybody relate to that? Has anyone ever run into that? I want to do this thing, but I don't know what my life will look like. Here's what your unconscious mind and your amygdala is saying. We've never survived that level of success. We don't know how you're going to do it. So we're going to keep you right here because even though this sucks, we know how to do this. Like, we have the programming. So the amygdala perceives any change as dangerous. It is wired to keep you safe. That's its only function. And it's wired for survival. And in order to thrive, you've got to move out of survival. And so understanding what the amygdala is saying, its language, is key. Can y'all see these pictures? All right. I love this movie. I think it's called Inside Out. The only one left out is joy, because that is the goal, right? To approach life with joy and freedom and fun and just love every minute of it and know you're going to be caught whenever you jump. Lisa knows Aster. I've got this little Frenchie. That dude is fearless. I can sit on the floor and ask him to jump and he'll do it every time. He'll literally jump in my lap. I'm like, this dude does not have an amygdala. Or he has figured it out. He just jumps and trusts, and I catch him every time. And if I don't, he's still fine. But translating the language of the amygdala is key. You got to know what you're looking at. Everyone's going to have a little bit different tell. So, and when the amygdala fires, the other word for this is upper limit. Some people label it things like depression or anxiety or PTSD or y'all, even physical things. I had a client who had 8 autoimmune things going on at one time, and doing some of this unconscious work, all of a sudden, her body's not doing the same stuff anymore. Protective mechanisms can go as deep as autoimmunity. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just telling you what I've seen. I cannot say, hey, don't handle your autoimmunity, but what I can say is there's a lot we'll never understand about the body, and it all lies in the unconscious mind. So every person has a core wound or an emotion that's going to show up that will stop forward movement. And a lot of times it'll show up as a body symptom. I've had some clients who will bulldoze through that. Like, they have this mental concrete, it's like this, they have like a concrete truck for their mentality. It's amazing. And that's when the body will come in and be like, nope, can't do it. So whatever we're not paying attention to will get bigger. So examples are imposter syndrome, feeling not good enough, not smart enough, powerless, guilt, shame, entitled, uncertain, migraines. I had migraines, no energy, headaches, sickness. I've personally felt panic attacks, depression, anxiety, all of the symptoms of PTSD or CPTSD. So I'm just coming from my experience, but I don't have those anymore. Sometimes I have headaches, and the biggest one is self-doubt. And knowing that about myself, knowing my boundaries, I know what I'm dealing with, and I still have to have help getting out of it, right? The wild thing is the design of this amygdala. It's really hard to notice yourself because the unconscious mind is supposed to be unconscious. It's supposed to be automatic for us. Like, imagine Has anyone ever had a list of errands to do and you take off in your car and you don't even remember how you got there? Automatic programming, baby, all day long. Or have you like lost chunks of time and like you did things and you got things done that you have muscle memory with, right? That you just don't even recall? Unconscious mind all day long. So we have a lot of automatic programming working for us. The automatic programming we're talking about today is the stuff that is keeping us from our goals. So I love this stuff. Oh, nope, that is not where we are. Hold on while I backtrack all the way to where I stopped. No, where was I? I wish I'd looked. Nope, that's not it. All right, so y'all got a little preview there. All right, here's where we were. Now I'm gonna go forward. So to simplify it, the number one thing hijacking your amygdala is change, period. So your unconscious mind, has anyone ever heard, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but your unconscious mind will choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven every time. This is why it is so hard for women in abusive relationships to leave, or for women who are not fulfilled to go find their dreams, or for women who know they want different, but don't even know how to do it, to just take a risk and do something. This is the number one reason, because it's change. The body already knows how to survive what it's already survived. It will choose that. And it may even feel like near death, taking a step in a different direction. It actually does. Let's just call it what it is. It does. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Has anyone felt that? Like, you know, something's good for you and it's going to lead to your dreams. And it's just like, maybe the panic, the anxiety, oh, just something came up. It's not the day. This thing was scheduled for my kids. It's not going to work out. Or like had that overwhelming panic and been like, oh, maybe it's just not meant to be. Anyone had that? That's the number one thing and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's the number one thing that I see mistaken for the amygdala hijack, for intuition, right? Knowing, oh, it's just not the right time. Like if it's an immediate body response, that is your amygdala hijack. And that's the number one thing I see mistaken for intuition. So, if you've never experienced success, whatever your version of that is, whether it's having way more money in the bank than you need, having a relationship that exceeds all of your expectations and fills your heart up with 100% joy where it wants to explode, living life easy and from flow, harmonious relationships, like a life beyond your wildest dreams. If you've never survived this, that will be seen as dangerous by your amygdala. Makes no sense, right? So your body, AKA unconscious mind, is going to put the kill switch every time to anything that you haven't already survived. So we'll talk about how to get around that here in a minute. Let's talk about the unconscious mind versus the conscious mind. I'm betting 100% of you ladies know exactly what the conscious mind is, right? I'm going to draw you a picture. Like, imagine from the neck up. Any decision you can make is conscious. Critical thinking, logical thinking, short-term memory, willpower. Conscious mind, it's 10%. Believe it or not, it's 10%. Yes, mindset is super important, 10% max. The unconscious mind, AKA neck down, your body, the whole body, every cell in your body, including your soul's wisdom, is the unconscious mind. Wisdom, intuition, body, unconscious mind. This is where your beliefs, your creativity, everything you picked up on in your developmental stages of life. Hey, Karina. Habits and addictions, imagination, intuition, long-term memory stored here, protective reactions, and values, not yours, but the ones you were programmed with from 0 to 5. That's all stored in this body. Your conscious mind is the goal setter, and your unconscious mind is the goal getter. And what that means is you can set conscious goals all day long. And if everything in your body, if the programming doesn't support your conscious goals, it will be sabotaged every time or stopped every time, or something in life will happen, or like some external experience that you feel, man, I just don't even have control of this. That will happen. That's the advanced energetics piece that we're going to talk about in a second. That's kind of like mind blowing. That's really my favorite thing to do. But this is the unconscious mind. Have y'all heard of manifestation? I know Karina has. If Mickey's on, I know she has. Have y'all heard of manifestation? Law of attraction, all that stuff? Okay. Everyone knows how to do this. You've been manifesting and attracting your entire life. Human design calls it the one-way crystal, like the one-way magnet of attraction. There's different words for it depending on, you know, whatever modality or whatever program it is, but your body is always attracting, and it's always attracting from your baseline frequency. I wish I could draw here because this is so fun for me. But have you ever noticed that when you're really focusing on thinking better thoughts, if any of you follow Abraham Hicks, they talk about this, better thinking thoughts, and you're like, okay, I'm focused on all the good stuff. And as soon as you relax, stuff goes to shit again. Has anyone noticed that? Anyone? I like 100% right here. And then I'd get so mad. I'm like, okay, I just need more willpower. I just need to like focus better. Here's the kicker that I didn't know for the longest time. Your baseline frequency is in your body. And I haven't heard anyone else call it the baseline frequency, but it is. So have you ever met someone, and jealousy is okay, y'all, it's an emotion. It's just seeing something in someone else that you know you deserve too. Jealousy or envy, valid emotion. So if you are envious of anyone, that's a trigger of, obviously, I want that and I deserve that. You're wired to want what you want, okay? But if your baseline frequency, your baseline programming, your automatic programming isn't at the capacity to attract at the level of your desires, there will be this in life. Ask me how I know. I'll tell you, I'll be 100% honest. But yeah, so raising the baseline frequency is where stuff just starts working out. It's like, how the hell did this happen? I'm going to ask Kara about this one later. All right. So number one thing, hijacking your amygdala. Here's the first thing that happens when this thing is triggered. One of these four archetypes will come up, and it may be all four. It may be one and the next and the next. All of these archetypes, we have them all, and there's a lot more, but these are the primary four. They're my favorite. They're the most taboo, but I mean, we need to talk about it, right? So the saboteur. So what most of you probably have heard, self-sabotage, sabotaging success, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Saboteur will kill success. It will sabotage success every time from the shadow side. So when the amygdala is activated, it will activate one of these archetypes from the shadow aspect, meaning we're going to keep you from your goals. So the saboteur will kill success, however it looks like. The child won't see things for what they are. It's naive. The child is naive. The prostitute gives herself away, period. And an example of this is spreading self way too thin and just keep doing it because, well, that's what everyone around me needs. And the victim just can't see a way out. Now we all have these. They're all very important. I want to talk about does everybody get that? Did that land? Okay. The light side is the saboteur knows when to pull the plug. Like, when you need to walk away from the poker table, it's like, okay, we're done here. Bye. That's the light side. The light side of the child sees joy and magic and the good in everyone. And the prostitute knows when to do what the hell she's got to do. Excuse my French. I just like saying that. And the victim becomes the creative. They're like, all right, I don't like what's here. How am I going to make it different? Obviously, I created this. What can I create different? A very powerful place. All of these archetypes are very powerful, but it's interesting because these four in particular, minus the child, the saboteur, prostitute, and victim are painted as negative only, and they're not. They have a very important function. And these archetypes develop their map within your system when you're a child. So as a child, whenever you had to activate these for your protection, that's what's going to happen as an adult if this unconscious programming isn't addressed. How many of you okay, so what happens here is whatever you had to do to survive as a child is what your system will continue doing as an adult. And this is why most people never actually achieve their goals. Like the 1%, you know, there's a light in the dark of that too, but there's stuff that they do differently and anyone's life can change dramatically. And so anyway, understanding when these activate and how to manage them is powerful. So whenever they activate, so does this story and reasoning for, okay, I guess this just isn't possible for me. It's just not safe, or maybe it's just not the right time, or I just don't know. Has anybody ever said that? I totally have. I've said all of this. I've said all of this. I've said, I'm just in process. I don't really know how to move forward. It's just not possible. Maybe it's not in the cards for me. There was some of this work where I had to forgive karma and the universe and all sorts of things. So anyway, it's pretty rad when this programming is changed. So what'll happen when these archetypes are kicked off is they'll stop action altogether or activate all the wrong action. Because most people, especially women business owners, need to do way less than they're doing. That's one of the things that I see the most. Most business women need to do 90% less than they're doing. And most women trying to be business women need to take the action that they're terrified of. And most women who are like, they're like, okay, I've got all that figured out, or I'm not interested in the business or money piece. Most of the time, they just need to put themselves at the center of their universe and do the damn thing. There is an Elizabeth Gilbert, it's not a movie, it's an Elizabeth Gilbert video on YouTube. It's amazing. It's on the profane and divine feminine and the profane and divine masculine. It's beautiful. Like, I'm not going to put the link here. I'll put it on my Facebook, but I have a link here for y'all. So a great question to find out exactly what's hijacking your amygdala. What is it that you need to do the most that you want to do the least? Or what do you not want to do that you know you must? And after you get past all the superficial things of like, oh, I guess I should do my taxes, or oh, maybe I should go get a coffee, or like, after you get past the superficial stuff, ask yourself 3 more times, and there's going to be something buried down there, and it may be too deep to have access to, which is denial, y'all. I'm going to talk about denial really quickly. If y'all came in early, you saw me and Georgia and Rihanna clearing denial. Denial means one of 2 things. I see it and I'm going to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, or I don't even have access to the information. That's the kind of denial we clear. The second kind of, I don't even have access to the information. Quick example, everyone in the world has the same access to the same energy. We just see different opportunities. So think of like, if anyone has like someone they look up to that is where you are, like Tony Robbins is cool, like, but he's not everybody's cup of tea. He's got the same access to everything we do. He's just open to different opportunities. Anyway, okay. So the thing hijacking your amygdala is the action that will lead you into thriving and actually leaving survival mode. And here's the thing, thrival hasn't been around long enough to become a default setting, but it's time for that. So that's why I do what I do. We can change enough baseline frequencies where stuff just starts working out and get control of the amygdala. Game on. So identifying the boundaries of your window of tolerance is step 1. I think a lot of you on here have heard of window of tolerance. Yeah. Window of tolerance just means, what is my nervous system already capable of doing? Or where do I know I can safely exist without having to panic or shut down or like manage a whole lot of things that I know is going to happen in my mind or in my body? So identifying in the environment what's draining your energy and keeping you in survival mode is step 1. And usually there's secondary gain attached to this thing draining all of your energy. Let me talk about secondary gain before I talk about anything else. Y'all cool with that? Can I do that? Okay. Secondary gain means the benefit of having the problem outweighs the pain of having the problem. I'm going to say that again. The benefit of having the problem outweighs the pain of having the problem. This could be anything from, I don't know what things are going to look like on the other side, meaning no risk tolerance, or I'm in this relationship I don't enjoy, but I don't know how I'd pay my bills if I left. That's secondary gain. I have a business that I've built that's suffocating me, but I don't even know how to exit. That's secondary gain. The structure is safety. Does that make sense to everybody? I haven't even checked on questions. Do we have any questions yet, ladies? I'm going to keep going unless Rihanna and Georgia say something. We have Q&A at the end, by the way. So, and if anyone has a question, raise your little digital hands. We are recording, so you'll be on the recording, but if you don't want to be recorded, just pop it in the chat and Rihanna and Georgia will be letting me know. So identifying what's in your immediate environment that's keeping you in survival mode or draining all of your energy. Is it a partner? Is it a significant other? Is it a job? Is it your parents? Is it the nature of all your relationships? Is it all the shiny things that you can't say no to? Is it fear of missing out on opportunity? Is it fear of showing up and being seen? What is it? So identifying the problematic programming, keeping the whole loop intact is paramount. And they're typically thought patterns, reactions, fears, worry, enabling, keeping the peace, whatever. So cleaning up the problematic programming and the residue in your body is paramount. If not, there's a lot of people I know living their dreams who can't even experience their dreams. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Do you need examples? Not if you want examples. Okay. So there are people I know making $50,000 a month who feel like shit about it. They're not doing what they love, or they have to do so much that they have no time to enjoy themselves, or they feel like crap about what they're still doing to make money, even though it's helping people. Does that make sense? Okay. So it takes I had this conversation the other day. It takes a special human to live a life of their dreams, even though they don't feel good doing about what they're doing, or make a lot of money not feeling good about what they're doing. We have plenty of examples. Politicians are great ones. They're wired in a way where they can kill the humanity switch, but most women aren't like that. Most of you, like people here, you're not going to have, that's not going to be the case. This would never have attracted you. So, when your body's, let's see, where was I going with that? Yeah, being completely disconnected with your dreams. I have another lady that I was talking to. She's living her entire family dream and she can't even appreciate it because she feels all of the weight of her past. All of the negativity that happened to her as a child is still running the show and showing up in the form of internal talk and of body symptoms and like interrelational things. She can't even enjoy living her own dream life with all the freedom that she has because of all the narrative, the body feeling that she's having to manage on a daily basis. It takes up 90% of her day. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay. Okay. All right. So reconnecting, when your body storage container is full, there's not any room for new. That 90%, if you're at 85% capacity, there's really no room for new manifestation or new things to come in. So clearing that container is important. And it's also scary. Y'all ever heard of the void? So the void and manifestation is like that place where you don't know, like, or the hero's journey, right? The belly of the whale. It's like you question all your life decisions. How the heck did I get here? And who am I? Why am I even doing this? Is this worth living? Like, what am I doing? That's the belly of the whale. When you question all your life decisions, something's dying and you also feel like you're dying. That's something old dying off. And it's also very painful, but it doesn't have to last forever. It can be very fast. So yeah. So reconnecting the mind, the body, and the soul so that your soul can guide the way based on your values is the epic way to live, y'all. I think anyway. Like if you can make all of the decisions, whether it's in business, relationships, life choices based on your values and not the conscious ones, right? Like finding the unconscious ones and figuring out what's really important because your body knows. And what it'll do is make sure that those needs are going to get met. When you can decide from that place, like stuff just starts working out. So aligning the unconscious mind with the unconscious mind is how it gets really easy. And this is where you can literally put an order into the universe and it delivers you a bunch of stuff. Like we have an example of this who's going to speak on this. And you just change your order and it's like, okay, work, thanks. Versus doing all this like mental work and like physiological work and trying to like manage all the stuff. So there's always going to be a baseline motion that you're acting from in life. And a great way to figure out what this is what's the first thing you feel when you wake up in the morning? Is it anxiety? Is it anxiousness? Is it dread? Is it, I don't want to face today? Is it avoidance? What is it? Has anybody in here ever awakened with anxiety or dread? I used to every day. It is the worst feeling in the world. I'd rather go back to bed and not do the day, or get through the day and then like kill it with alcohol so I didn't have to feel it, and then go to bed and escape again. But that only that only works as long as you're asleep. And your unconscious mind takes over when you sleep. So that's the best way to find out your baseline emotion. So meeting the unconscious needs consciously, that is paramount in lining everything up, because those unconscious needs are going to be met, and they'll typically show up through chaos and drama. And drama is just trauma trying to play out, y'all. It is just trying to get resolved. But this is where shit just doesn't work out. Something external always happens, right? And I promise you, it's possible for shit to just always work out. I've seen it happen. I've seen it go from one extreme to the other very fast. And so proactively increasing your window of tolerance by creating safety in your body, meaning take small calculated risks where you know your life's not at risk, even though it may feel like it. Kristen, can I use you as an example real quick? Her window of tolerance exercise that I had her do, thank you for letting me share this, Kristen, she's going to share with y'all later too, was sitting with herself for 5 minutes, no distractions, period. Like letting whatever come up and just be. That was hard, wasn't it? Like, I remember in her journal, she was like her head was on her desk within a couple seconds. Her body felt awful, but that was a window of tolerance issue. So it could be as simple as sitting with yourself for 5 minutes each day, no distractions, and letting yourself be. If your mind races, whatever, let it race. But that's how you can connect to yourself. So it's fully connected versus checking out, like doom scrolling, going to the phone as soon as, like, if you guys will take note of, like yesterday I ate a lot of emotions, right? Like getting ready for this. And I'm like, I even know this and I'm still doing it. So as soon as you go to that habit that you hate that you do, or that you wish you could stop, or that's mindless, if you take a second to figure out, what could I possibly be avoiding feeling? Because your body has a strategy for everything, and it'll have a strategy to help you not feel a thing. Typical things are eating out of boredom, or scrolling, or Netflix binging, or drinking rosé all day. I've done all of them. So consistently taking small calculated risks and working that muscle so that you can take more profitable risks. All right. So when you do this, you're going to trust yourself to take risks. You're going to trust yourself to follow through with action. Anybody here struggle with self-trust? I used to question every damn decision I made, like every one of them 20 times at least daily. Actually, probably more like every hour. Exhausting, right? So this is where you trust yourself and you trust the universe, and you learn that you are going to survive the calculated risk, because y'all, we are all connected to divine. The only difference between a dead corpse and a live human is electricity, that energy that powers every bit of who we are. You have universal intelligence inside of you, and you are attracting at all times. But is your programming keeping up with your dreams? That's the question. So I want to share my enlightened method. There's the current you. There's the future you. There is a gap between the two. There are actionable steps to take, and then there's a commitment to self. And we're going to go through all these, so no worries. So step 1, current you. Current you is comprised of everything you've ever been up until this moment. Your identity, your view of self. Who have you been? How have you taken action? How have you shown up in the world? How have you shown up for yourself in your relationships? How have you shown up for your dreams? I would say for your job, but really most people's job is a reflection of how they're showing up for themselves, job or business. So how you've taken action, and the result of that action up until now is you, period, all of us. And so they're also your conscious beliefs. Everybody has beliefs about themselves. Getting to know those beliefs can be pretty sobering. Are your beliefs limiting or empowering? And here's the thing, your unconscious mind stores the majority of those. And so most of us don't even know what we actually believe when we get down below. I had some wild beliefs that had to be released that I don't consciously believe, but my body did. So this stuff gets This stuff gets pretty deep. So your internal dialogue, how do you talk to yourself? Are you your best friend? Like, would you spend time with your internal dialogue if it were a human? Or would you like try to off it somewhere or dump it out the car as soon as you could? Would it be your best friend or your worst enemy? Anybody have a worst enemy here or best friend? I think I know one person whose internal dialogue was their best friend. Anyway, what content do you consume? Who do you surround yourself with? What action are you willing to take on a regular basis? What risks are you willing to take? You've got about 60 to 90,000 thoughts per day, depending on which source you look at. So your unconscious mind is always listening and it's always being programmed. You are in trance state when you're driving the car. You're in trance state when you're watching TV. You're in trance state, aka hypnosis, when you're listening to music or when you're scrolling on your phone. So what are you consuming when you're in active hypnosis? Hypnosis is just trance state, y'all. So everybody has dreams, goals, fears, struggles, and this forms a story around every part of life. Money, relationships, health, career, family, etc. And the unconscious mind stores everything that has ever happened to you, every conversation, every significant emotional event, everything around you, everything that's happened around you prior to conscious memory, even in the womb. So this is going to come from your caregivers from 0 to 7, the culture, social programming prior to memory. If anyone had a grandmother here or a grandparent who survived the Great Depression or a great grandparent, whatever they experienced will have been passed down. And I'm going to give an example of the science version of this. There has been a study on this. So the current you, your values and beliefs were formed from 0 to 7. And personality changes every 14 years. But most of personality is, what's it called? I can't even word right now. Preference. Most personality is, what do I prefer? Who do I prefer? What food do I like to eat? What music do I like to listen to? What do I want to do with my life? That's mostly personality and attitude. That plays into there too. So much of this is passed down the ancestral line. Fears, failures, safety nets, mostly in here, right? And so the cherry blossom study is one of my favorites to share. Some of you may have heard this. Fear can be passed down 2 generations directly. I don't know why they didn't go further than 2. It can go way further than 2. It can go back as far as the ancestral line goes. But the study, y'all want to hear the study? I really want to tell you the study. Okay, great. So Harvard did a study on mice, and cherry blossoms are pretty. They smell good, and I guess mice like to eat them. So they exposed mice to cherry blossoms. And as soon as these mice went near cherry blossoms, they were shocked. Kind of like Pavlov's dogs, except for it was a bell and meat versus like shock and cherry blossom. So every time these mice went near cherry blossoms, they were shocked until they were terrified. They would not go near the cherry blossoms. They were afraid. These mice had babies. So generation 1 of mice had babies. Generation 2 was exposed to cherry blossoms without having ever been shocked or without seeing their parents' reactions to the cherry blossoms. Generation 2 is terrified of cherry blossoms as well. Those babies had babies. Generation 3, never shocked, never saw a parental reaction to cherry blossoms. They were exposed to cherry blossoms as an adult, terrified. So I don't know why Harvard didn't continue, but can y'all see how maybe some of us, a lot of us, have programming and fears that are not even applicable to our current environment? Anybody? Yeah, head nod. Okay. So the good stuff can get passed down. Like the design is for all of the knowledge and wisdom to be passed down so that we don't have to relearn everything every time a new human is born. The other piece of this is fears that no longer help us but start hindering us can also be passed down and form limitation around what's possible. Success, relationships, money, health, whatever it is. Whatever was learned that is still being passed down will be active. So, like it or not, the majority of your identity was imprinted from 0 to 7. I was pretty mad the first time I heard this. I was like, no, I am the master of my own universe. As long as I clear my unconscious, for sure. So here's the first activity. I'm going to give you guys about a minute, and I want you to take that minute and write down the actions and internal dialogue that has gotten you to where you are right now. Let me see if I can, I'm not going to pull the timer app up. I'm just going to time you. Y'all good with it? Go ahead and write it down. If I can find a timer. All right. And then I'm going to ask some people to share if they like. No pressure, but interaction is fun. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. Oh, we have some questions. Perfect. Okay, cool. Just checking the chat while y'all are going. Awesome.
Caroline, specifically, Maria asked, she doesn't understand the question. Can you re-clarify for her, please?
Yeah. So identity is everything that has gotten you to where you are now. What has been your internal dialogue up until now? And what actions have you taken up until now?
It's like every second I talk to myself. So it's like quite a lot of dialogue and quite a lot of actions. So,
So like, is it focused or is it all over the place?
on a specific action and a specific determination goal. Again, like if I want to eat, I'm going to have a dialogue about that. If I want to create a dream, I'm going to be thinking about that. So a little bit more specific, or maybe.
So is it like, does it never stop?
In my case, no. This is my processing, like, this is my receptive system. So I always talk to myself. Yeah.
Okay. Is it empowering or is it limiting?
Sometimes this, sometimes this.
Sometimes it's limiting or empowering or both.
Yeah. Sometimes it's empowering and sometimes it's limiting.
I would write both down.
Caroline, is this in relation to like our business or our goal?
This is in relation to when you are with yourself. Can I ask everybody mute themselves?
Or otherwise. So.
Caroline, you're muted.
All right, can y'all hear me? So Erica, was that your question?
Yeah, when you say where you are right now, do you mean like in relation to our business?
So what did you go through
right now?
yesterday? Because my guess is most people are going to try to avoid the most painful piece of this.
Sorry, what was that? Say that again.
So remember what you went through yesterday?
Yes.
That.
Mm.
All right, let me clarify. When life goes to shit, what's your internal dialogue? Is that easier for everybody? Like whatever your perception of when life goes to shit, what happens in your head? And I say this because everyone's perception of life going to shit is different. And some people's life going to shit is other people's big opportunity. Was that helpful? Okay, perfect. I'm going to give you all like 30 more seconds and then because I think the conversation is going to help here. And it's not atypical to be like, what are you talking about? This stuff's unconscious, right? So this is why we're doing this. Most of us are not in touch with what comes into our minds when everything feels like it's not working. And then what do you do when everything's not working? All right, we're going to stop. Anybody want to share? And if nobody wants to share, I can share mine.
Melissa's written in the chat, what she is saying is very regular for neurodiverse people. I have constant internal dialogue,
Mhm, mhm.
sometimes helpful, sometimes not. Since I'm a verbal processor and don't have people I can outwardly express with, it has become even more so in my head. LOL. Initially down then, I diligently worked to pull it back to the positive, working on rewiring those patterns.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, Sharice, thank you. Thank you, Maria. Sharice raised her hand. I don't see where she is. Can somebody unmute her? Sharice, you want to share?
So I'm just trying to see if I did it right. So like when things go to crap, you're saying kind of where do we go with it? So mine is usually I need to do more. I'm not doing enough. How can I fix it? What went wrong? And I want to just fix it all. And even if it's not me, it's everybody else. I want to fix it all. And what can I do? And what did I not do right? And that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, totally, absolutely.
And more in the comments is mine is we will get through this because we always do, one step at a time, no matter how small a step.
Perfect.
And one said, I hate this. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Why can't other people be nicer?
Yeah, totally. Is there anything else in the comments?
Heather wants to share and Caroline Dean wants to share.
Okay, y'all too, and then we're gonna go to the next one. This is great. Thank you. Like everyone has like a far left and a far right internal dialogue. So awesome. Thank y'all. Okay. I can't see them. Can one of you guys unmute? Heather?
Yeah, I've been unmuted.
Okay.
So for years, for a whole decade, I went through what my therapist and I call a decade of turmoil. And
Mhm.
I was able to tap into this that you're talking about. And one of the things that I learned was to stop and breathe
Mhm.
and then realize it's got to be better. And I figured out the next following phrases over that decade, which was life needs me somewhere else. The only constant in life I have is change, and I need to embrace it because it's the only avenue forward. And it's exciting, and I just feel it leap out from deep within.
Mhm.
Enjoy it, don't panic, and I will be better on the other side.
Beautiful. Okay, Caroline?
I really liked what Heather just shared. My goal is to kind of get there because I'm still fighting the process of like when things go wrong, I like stress and panic and procrastinate, and then there's a shame spiral, and then I get it done, but I get it done because I'm still working on the like my value and my worth isn't dependent on productivity, what I'm able to accomplish.
Totally. Oh, thank you for sharing. Okay, Maria raised her hand again. Maria, after this, we're gonna go to the next piece, okay? Go
No
ahead.
worries. Actually, I'm ADHD, so yes, I have an internal dialogue always, like completely, absolutely, constantly. And again, sometimes it is positive, sometimes it is negative, especially like, when shit hits the fan, it could be either or, really. And it could go from very intense survival mode of like, okay, I have to do something. What should I do? Okay, what's the best way? Oh, what's the most efficient one? What's the cheapest way? What's the fastest way? So it's like trying to be the most efficient ever, to figure things out as fast as possible. And sometimes it could be something, oh, okay. And then here it is. So the survival mode, I've been working quite long to get rid of it. So now the majority of the times it's actually the, okay, well, I will work it out. And then then it stops.
Perfect. Thank you. I think someone else raised their hand, but we're gonna go ahead and move on because I'm gonna try to get us done so there's plenty of time for Q&A. Thank you all. Here's what happens to a lot of us. Being in the body ends up feeling unsafe and overwhelming. So we go into our heads and have the whole story up in our heads, living up here, then nonstop yada yada. Some of our coaches call this yada yada. So it's like, and it's energetically consuming, right? So step 2 is the future you. In order to step into future you, we have to envision taking different action and updating beliefs. So cleaning out the program, keeping you stuck and in survival mode, changing environment, people, places, things, removing what's consuming all of your energy or adding additional stress If you don't know what this is, start with what you complain about the most. Whatever it is you complain about the most, start there. And if you're not a complainer, start with what you spend most of your time trying to fix or work around or justify. So the future you requires space to dream, and your body holds all the wisdom and the answers. So removing the barriers and blocks keeping you from living in your body, connected to your wisdom and creativity, is key. And so remember that creativity is the flip side of the victim archetype, and creating that space in your body, environment, and mind is the key to getting you unstuck. Because it's like, I don't know about y'all, but it is so, at one point, it was so easy for me to fall into managing whatever's happening here 90% of the time. Like I had an entire management protocol for my body and my mind, the supplementations, the affirmations, all the things, right? Not to say those aren't necessary, but like that was what I spent most of my time trying to do. So again, what content are you consuming? What's the culture where you are? Is it survival or thriving? And so defining the future you. If you can't fathom anything positive other than relief of your current circumstances, or if you can't fathom anything different, ask yourself this question. What would I want if I didn't have to feel bad about not getting it? Ask it 3 more times. What would I want if I didn't have to feel bad about not getting it? So a lot of times there's a lot of yada yada that'll kick off about, well, why this won't work, or why that won't work, or why that didn't work, or why this isn't possible. That's the yada yada I'm talking about. If you didn't feel bad, if you didn't have to feel bad about not getting exactly what you wanted, what would it be? So a few things you can do to help define the future you is find someone who's got better beliefs than you and make them yours. Steal those beliefs, make them yours. I've got a mentor who firmly believes in his ability to figure anything out in the moment. I adopted that. Model someone who's done what you dream of. Listen to better podcasts, watch better movies, travel. Find the thing that opens creativity and gives you a new lease on life. Figure out how to create the life you don't need a vacation from. That might sound wild, especially if you've been living perpetually in the life that you needed a vacation from. Hence, I used to live in a bar. I would go to the bar every weekend. I couldn't wait to get done with the week so I could go have fun on the weekend, and then I had to start it all over. I don't know if this sounds familiar to everyone, but that's how I lived for a very long time. So cleaning out the old programming, installing better programming, deciding what new habits to adopt, what habits need to go, who in life needs to go, what needs to go. Again, what is it that you need to start doing that you haven't done? Or what is it that you need to stop doing that you keep doing? What's causing the most internal friction has to go. So, did I go in the right order? So, okay. So this is, you're going to describe current you now. So when shit hits the fan, what is the big version of you who plays big, who is exactly who you want to be in 10 years? Who is she? How does she show up when shit hits the fan? What action does she take? What is her internal dialogue? Who does she surround herself with? Who will she achieve? So go ahead and take like a minute. Don't think too hard. If you're thinking too hard, you're already talking yourself out of the stuff. Who is the version of you who just laughs at that stuff and it's like, haha, you try to come out to play, no thanks. Here's how I show up. Who is the big version of you that scares the current version of you in a good way? How does she handle things when shit hits the fan? Okay. We got time for 2. Anybody want to share? Is there anything in the chat? Anybody want to be brave? Start being
I'll be
future.
brave. I'll be brave.
Okay, who am I talking to?
It's Ashley.
Hey, Ashley, talk to me.
Hey,
Talk to us.
I've been listening. The version of me that makes me afraid right now is somebody that is so consistent that everything's handled. So I see this person that is already got finances in order. So when the shit hits the fan, the foundations are already laid for preparedness.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, I love that.
you
That's
know,
good. Yeah. Oh,
so
that's
I'm not freaking out because the shit hit the fan. I'm wanting to know, you know, now which direction to go instead of what do I do? It's more everything's fine because I'm prepared
love it.
because I've handled my accounting and my taxes.
Done all the
You
things,
know,
right? Yeah.
yeah, I know exactly what my numbers are on the bottom line right now and they're up to date, so I don't need to worry about that.
Perfect. Love that. Thank you. Anybody else want to be brave? We got more, don't worry. We can go on. 3, 2. Erica, talk to me, lady.
Yeah, describe Erica of 2025. Unapologetically speaks her mind for the highest good of all and doesn't fear people's reactions to that.
Mm, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Y'all, she's talking later. You want to hear this. You want to stick around till the end. I'll try to speed us up to get done in time. Are y'all okay if I press the pedal to the metal here? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you all. All right. What did I put this thing on here? I don't know how I got a line there, but sorry, y'all. Number 3 is the gap. We're just going to have to manage with this red thing that I put on the screen.
You'd have to find the eraser and erase it because it's like you had the pen active.
Forget it. We'll just deal with it later. Okay. The gap. This is all about the action that we're terrified to take. Okay. So pure and simple. Different action you've already taken. The good thing is there's only 3 requirements for massive, massive, massive change. Cleaning up the past, which is all that programming we were talking about, all the stuff you're unaware of that activates when your mind chills. And for some of us, it's too scary for the mind to chill. I was there. Focusing on what you want stubbornly when the mind is active, and taking massive action, which is neurology/behavior. So you got to be willing to feel the full spectrum of human emotions. They never go away, right, Erica? She's gonna, I can't wait for her to share with y'all later. Emotions cannot selectively be numbed. If you avoid grief, there goes joy. If you avoid anger, positive expectation cannot exist. There is a scale I'm going to show you here in a minute where there's an equal and opposite positive and negative emotion. Really, there's no negative emotions. Grief is required for loss to be processed, y'all. And it's one of the heaviest and most excruciating emotions. And it's one that here in the West, we have been taught to avoid. And that is why we have so many health issues here, in my opinion. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I'm not a medical doctor, but from what I've seen in my clinic over 15 years, unprocessed emotions from significant emotional events is the #1 reason we have so many problems. And there's actually research on this, emotional repression and pain. I've got the article up here, but I'm not going to grab it because pedal to the metal, right? So, here, can y'all see the spiral? The up and the down? All right, here's the cool thing about emotion. Emotion is energy in motion, period. We are designed to feel the entire spectrum of human emotion. The problem is when we've never learned how to move through an emotion, or when we've tried to repress it because we don't know how to deal with it. I was never allowed to feel anger as a child. So I repressed it and it became everything, including headaches and migraines for me. Not everyone, but that's how my body dealt. So here's the thing, that thing that you don't want to think about consciously is the thing that your unconscious mind is thinking about constantly. So whatever you're avoiding consciously, and most of us know, like the thing that's uncomfortable to feel, that's what's going on in your body 100% of the time. And it is energetically taxing. It will use all of your energy. Anybody here ever have energy problems? There was a time when I had no energy. I could sleep 13 hours a day and still have no energy. I thought I had thyroid issues. It turned out fine. Like nothing in my blood work showed up. It wasn't normal though, but I had so much repressed anger and rage. Oh, Ashley, you got a question? Did I miss it?
I was just like, yes, this is so profound for me right now. Huge here because of everything that I had repressed in the past. I think that this is the root cause of most physical disease.
Yeah.
So I would just, if I could raise my hand and say yes, 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 I would. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good. Thank you. Okay. So I'll probably just clarify if you're doing the hands up thing, I'll be like, is that an amen, Ashley? Is that what that is? I don't know why I
That
say
was
it,
an
but I just did.
amen.
Okay, cool. So your baseline frequency is determined largely by whatever's repressed in your body emotionally. So you can focus on raising your frequency and your thought patterns all day long, but if there's repressed anger or rage or grief in your body, your frequency baseline just went down. Like when you're not focusing, your average just went down to whatever the number equates. And David Hawkins did the research on this and actually put numbers to this. And there's a societal and economic development. Power starts at number 250. Most US systems operate at 175 or lower. Just so you know, we have a society built on repression, in my opinion, which is why we have the problems we do. That's my opinion. Feel free to reject. Feel free to be like, lady, you're crazy. I don't agree. That's okay. I respect that. But it takes 6 times more energy to stay stuck than to just move forward, than to take that risk. So a question to leave yourself with is, are you on the upward or the downward spiral? Where do you live? I used to live between 14 and the bottom. That used to be where I lived. I still experience those, but I don't stay there. But I woke up there, if that makes sense. That's where I woke up every morning, literally. And again, if you don't know what your baseline emotion is that you're working life from, however you wake up is that one. All right, so the gap. This is a great place to hire a mentor or coach who can like help you bridge it, because your unconscious mind will say, oh, that's not safe, I can't. Ask me how I know. The other piece is time. It can go 90% faster, but it's still going to take different action that may look dangerous. So it can happen really fast when your shit's cleaned up. All right, actionable steps. Who is the version of you who plays big, plays all out, blows your mind day after day after day, and transforms exponentially? The first thing most people need to stop is the thing that they freaking hate doing. Whatever that is for you, you need to stop. Mine was a brick and mortar. And I was so far in financially, energetically, focus-wise. I had so much time invested. I could not get off the poker table. I needed that. I needed the saboteur, the light version of the saboteur, to come in and be like, pull the plug, lady, like 10 years ago. I just wouldn't let it go because I didn't understand how to not have a brick and mortar and how to not have a chiropractic practice. Now I love it. I have so much information and knowledge and know how quickly the human body can change, but I didn't know how to change my life. So, activity. What is the one thing you need to do the most that you want to do the least to become the future you? Go ahead and take a minute and write it down. Do not overthink it. If you're thinking you've let the conscious mind take over, the first crazy thing that comes up, it's that. That's your unconscious mind talking. So, got room for a couple to share when this minute is up. Oh, Kara, hey. You ready?
I'll tell you the first thing that came up, and it's a biggie.
All right.
I need to stop being Mrs. C, which is part of, I have a business where I work with children.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stop that, and I have to leave it behind in order to be who I need to be and the movement that I want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my stuckness right now. That's the wrong word, but I'm really working on building this other thing so that I know I have to leave her behind.
Gotcha. Beautiful. Oh, thank you. And you just wrote it by saying it. Who else raised their hand? I can't see the other one. Go ahead and bring yourself off mute since I can't see who it is. Anybody else?
Oh, Rashawn,
I think.
Rashawn?
yeah.
Rashawn, are you gonna share? She there? Did we lose her?
I think we just lost her.
Oh,
Bridget said, to be courageous, limitless, and fearless. Heather said, put myself out there. The vulnerability is terrifying.
so true, Heather. Oh my gosh, you are not wrong, girl. I'm curious with Bridget, to you, what does it mean to be fearless, to courageous, limitless, and fearless? Like, what is the one thing to do that? And yeah, Rashawn left. And that may be like a too deep one. You might not have access to the info, so that's fine.
Ashley said to stop looking to other people for tasks that I avoid with distractions.
Yeah, I lived there. Okay, here's Rashawn. I think. Rashawn, are you there? She there? We're gonna go and move on, and if she wants to pipe up, we are gonna hear her out. Y'all okay with that? Okay. All right. Those were actionable steps. I feel like we skipped one. Maybe we didn't. Commitment to self. So it is important to your soul to keep the promises that you make to yourself. This is why I'd recommend you make a commitment to yourself to become the future you, so that you're clear that that one thing, like when shit hits the fan, here's what happens. Here's what's holding me back. You may want to answer the following questions for this. Y'all ready? What does it finally take to put you first? Like, what has to happen for you to be like, no, I'm number one. I cannot worry about anything or anyone else. I have to put me first. What has to happen? Sometimes it can get ugly. Y'all see, remember that brick to the face I showed y'all? That's what had to happen to me. Like, literally, I tore my patellar tendon, and it took me 12 years to like still do the wrong thing, but take action. How bad do things have to get for you to do what you've been saying you'll do? What does it take for you to do the hard work that benefits you? What does it take? There's Kristen. What does it take for you to position yourself for success regardless of anyone else? What does it take for you to choose you? And this one's the kicker. What does it take for you to do for yourself what most mothers would only do for their children? If you are not a human mom, but you're a dog mom, you still probably know what I'm talking about. My family's a big animal family, and we will go to the ends of the earth for our little doggies and our kitties. Okay. So I feel like I missed a step, but that's okay. Write a commitment to yourself now to become the person you described today. And what you can do is say, I commit to becoming the future me who plays big. I feel like I skipped a lot here. Y'all put your blinders on. I'm going to look at something real quick. Yeah, we skipped something. We may go backwards. Oh, we did somehow. Okay, we did. The gap. Everybody pause. The gap. We talked about this. Somehow we got way past it. I got way past it. So which I knew we were skipping something. Which of the below requisites is blocking you from becoming the future you? Remember the 3 requisites for change: cleaning up the past, focusing on what you want, taking massive action. If you were to know which one of those is the block, and if you say all 3, okay, great. Which one's the biggest? Go ahead and write that down. My apologies, y'all.
And while you're giving them time to do that, I was going to read a couple more of these.
Oh, please do. Yes.
For me to start loving myself and believing in myself, I have bankrupted myself long enough in every way. I have to change and do it for me to stop people pleasing, period. Another one said, step out and be authentically me. Rashawn said, I was only going to say that taking that first risky step is the one thing I need to do. And another one said, but for me, those things mean doing the tasks that present me as a leader in my business and as an employer as I grow my team, and also do the steps to put myself and my gift and skills out there in the world. I know I have so much more to share and contribute to the world. Lose my fear of imposter syndrome and being not enough.
Yeah.
And then we've already got 2 answers for this one. Number 1, because it prevents me from number 3. One for sure. I've got the other 2, but obviously struggle with traction on 2 and 3 since 1 isn't handled. And 2 feels like I want to develop all these skills, but sick of being jack of all trades, master of none. And then somebody said, sure, number 3 is for them.
Gotcha. Gosh, thank you all. Yeah, it's like so easy to say all 3. And then number 1 is typically the thing that can like hijack any of it, right? Gosh, thank you all for sharing. All right. Does anybody else want to share verbally here, since I already kind of fast forwarded us, and we'll revisit what I already told y'all to do? Does anybody else want to share here? No worries if you don't. We'll move on. Okay, the actionable steps. Okay, this is where stressors in the environment have to go to free up the energy to actually take the action that feels dangerous or seems impossible. So smarter format is the easiest way to do this, but that can still be overwhelming if you're used to living in your head and not being in the body, because there was a point in time where I could write all the smarter goals down, but they weren't even connected to my life purpose. It was like what I thought I should be doing or what everybody else thought I should be doing. It wasn't driven from here and who I am at the heart of me. And so where I see most people go wrong, and where most people go wrong, even though you wouldn't know it, is most people are trying to be anyone but themselves. There is only one of you, and the best thing you can do for yourself is double down on you, because you're going to have a unique gift. You're going to have a unique experience. You're going to have a unique passion and purpose and mission that is always there inside of you. So if I could leave you with nothing else, if you only take one thing in, double down on you. Okay, so writing the goal down and reverse engineering it. So S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for achievable, like, and then R realistic, T is timed, E is advanced energetic / emotion, it's not on here, and R is reverse engineered. So we could do an entire workshop on setting a smarter goal, but we're not going to do that today. So here's the thing, taking new action, there's going to be blind spots. And these blind spots are what make most people just not even want to take action to begin with. They're the detours, you know, when shit doesn't go right. The shit not going right is the detour. And when detours happen, this is where you develop skills, get new resources, or make new connections required to get to that next level you're trying to go to. So the detours prevent most of us from taking action, even though that's where all the gold is. And that's why it's important to know what happens up here when shit hits the fan, because that's a detour. Does everybody get that? That makes sense? All right, so they're gonna happen. And this is why most people avoid action. They're always part of the process. There's never a way to know what it's gonna be like on the other side, ever. And this is what has to happen to level up and break into a new identity. So to develop rapport with your unconscious mind helps with this a lot. And I'm going to walk through a little exercise. I'm going to have everybody stop and do this real quick. We're going to take 30 seconds because this is pretty powerful. Go ahead and take. So everybody close your eyes. And you're going to say to yourself, dear unconscious mind, what is it that I need right now? Please show me in an easy, peaceful, painless, joyful way. And we're going to ask it 2 more times. Dear unconscious mind, Please show me what it is that I need right now in an easy, peaceful, painless, joyful way. And then one more time, dear unconscious mind, what is it that I need right now? Please show me in an easy, peaceful, painless, joyful way. And do it now. Thank you. Okay, you can open your eyes. So this is one way to develop rapport with your unconscious minds. It acts like a 5-year-old, but it is a general. It wants to follow instructions and it will give you the information that you ask for. It needs 3 repetitions at least, and it needs specific. So if you're used to learning through chaos and pain and trauma and overcoming and working hard and suffering, isn't easy, peaceful, painless, and joyful better? At one time in my life, I knew, I was like, I learned, like, I overcome trauma, like stuff has to get really bad and then I learn the lesson, or like I have to have something to overcome or some big thing to happen, or to be super motivated by some impending doom. So this is why we say, dear unconscious mind, insert your ask and show me in an easy, peaceful, painless, joyful way. Did anyone have anything come up? Any answers? And you might not, and that's okay. Sometimes some of the big realizations come up with us.
Mine was make those calls.
Oh, yeah. 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 I did this the other day and it was chill out and be present. It was for this. So. All right. So,
Kathy has her hand raised. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Kathy. Talk to us. See here. I think you're on mute, Kathy. Let me unmute you.
I got it.
Oh,
Can you hear me
beautiful.
now?
I can hear you now. Talk to us.
Mine was, the thought that came to me was just let go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to solve the problem that's not yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful.
It'll work out.
Yeah.
Just let go.
Yeah.
Sounds easy, but I have to say it to myself several times a day.
Right. Right. And knowing what that looks like in each moment, right? Like, especially when
Yeah.
shit hits the fan.
Yeah. It's not my problem and I can't solve it.
Right.
They can come to me and talk to me and lean on me, but I can't solve it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Sure.
sharing. Okay. So the actionable step piece, this is where you position yourself properly to succeed, position yourself to receive, update your environment to support the future version of you. So this is like, imagine a little flower, right? That you've tended to and nurtured and watered and fertilized and loved. And let's say you uproot it and plant it in crappy soil that has never been fertilized or watered. Like, the flower may have started healthy, but at some point it's going to be the product of that soil. So this is why environment is so important for the future version of you. A great exercise is that one that we touched on earlier. Ask yourself, how does the future me in 10 years act, think, walk in the world? How would the future me handle this? How would me in 10 years, who has it all figured out, respond to this? What would she do? What would she say? What would she think? How would she handle this? So that's the version who plays big, plays all out, blows your mind. And so here's where we left off before. The first thing most people need to do is stop doing the thing that they hate doing, or the thing that's taking all the energy. And so this is where, I think we did this one earlier, didn't we? What's the one thing you need to do the most that you want to do the least to become the future you? We did this one, yeah? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Y'all are champs, even though we're going a little out of order. So here's the commitment to self. So your soul came here with a mission. And you can all probably feel when you're out of alignment with your mission, it feels not good. It might feel okay. That secondary gain may have taken hold and said, well, we'll wait till later until it's time to work out. Like, when it's time for this to happen, I'll know. So this is where commitment to self comes in. And you may want to answer the following questions that we already went over. What does it finally take to put me first? How bad does it have to get? Or what does it take for me to do for myself what most mothers would only do for their kids? Or what most mama bears would only do for their cubs. Like a mama energy is totally different, and it doesn't even have to be with a little human baby. It could be with someone you care about, a niece, a nephew. That's like a natural thing that kicks in at random times, right? It may be constant and it may kick in when it kicks in. So this is where you're going to write a commitment to yourself to become the future version of you. And I would suggest keeping it simple. I commit to becoming the future me who, Kathy, for you, it would be who lets go. Keep it simple. Don't make it complicated.
Yeah.
I commit to becoming the future me who, Georgia, makes the calls. And that could be more than phone calls, right? That could be decisions. That could be like, I'm going to make the call to do this and do it. So just a one-liner, a powerful one-liner, nothing crazy. And then I would encourage you to sign it. So, anybody want to share? We can go on. You don't have to share. Go on. You might want to share later. If there's something in the chat, Georgia, Rihanna, let me know. So we covered what the amygdala is. The number one thing hijacking it, which is the change, right? The change, whether it's good or not good, either way, your unconscious mind's going to choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. What you need to do in order to control it, which is increase your window of tolerance consciously, clear up the past programming that it's running on, because it's going to run on everything it's already experienced, and focus on what you want, take the action. And yeah. So I said I was going to give you a thank you for playing all out and staying till the end. I'm going to offer everyone here an amygdala reset call, an hour long. It's what I wish I'd had like 20 years ago. I spent like no less than 20 years getting hijacked by my own amygdala. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Let's hope I still have the link. If not, while everyone's sharing, I'm going, oh, I don't have it. Hold on, y'all. I may have to get a little messy here. Oh, wait. Oh, my notes aren't. I'm going to stop share real quick, okay? Dang, I knew I should have done this earlier. No, I'm going to close that. Here we go. Oh, come here. There we go. Thank y'all for hanging with me. I probably could have done this while everyone was sharing. Let me drop it in the chat and then reshare. Y'all have been amazing, by the way. I love you all. So I would go ahead and get that call scheduled because I do have limited time, but I'm gonna the next 2 weeks is devoted to you all. And just go ahead and put scheduled so we know you did in the chat, but I'm gonna go ahead and re-screen share. And we have some people who are gonna, wait, why is this happening? Does anyone know? Here we go. There we are. Okay. Present. Let's go to the end now. Where are we? Y'all are going to see a little messy. That's okay. At this point, everyone has two options. If you've taken the information from here, if you apply it and you get everything under control, amazing. Merry Christmas. Love you forever. Best friends for life. But unfortunately for 99% of people, it's not possible. Or if they could have gotten there on their own, they would have already. I was that person. Let's see what we have in the chat. Oh, yay. Awesome. How do I get this out of here? So for most people, it's unconscious, right? And we can't see our own stuff. The other option is help. And that's why I'm offering the support call, the amygdala reset call, to help you map out, how do I get to future me? What are the steps I need to take? What does that need to look like? How fast do I want it? Because if we had 10 lifetimes, we could probably eventually get there on our own, but I don't want to wait 10 lifetimes. So I'm going to offer this to everyone here and just drop in the chat when you're scheduled. So I could talk about how amazing this work is. And I love talking about how amazing this work is. Why can't I get this on the full screen? Let me see if I can get this on the full screen. But I have people on the call here who have agreed to show up and share their own experience from doing this work. So, Erica, would you like to share? Actually, real quick, before that, Erica, are y'all okay if I position this for you? Like the compounding interest of not solving this problem? Are y'all cool with that? Okay. So we're gonna talk money first because that's easy to quantify. Can y'all see this triangle? Because I can't see myself anymore. Time, money. Most entrepreneurs or business people, the first goal is to get to 10,000 a month. And the reason for that is that's like the ultimate level of next level freedom, where you now have a say over your life. And so most entrepreneurs, whether they're starting or in business or trying to figure it out, there's immediately a problem quantifiable at $10,000. I've talked to enough of them. It's like, oh, if I could just get this amount of clients, but I can't decide how to do this or what to offer, da 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 da. So $10,000, it might not be a big deal right now. However, the compounding accumulation, like let's say it's a deficit that, okay, it's not that big of a problem right now, because you may be wondering, hey, is this problem of the gap between where I am and where I want to be really big deal? Do I really have to do something about it now? It looks like it's going to take a lot of work. Is this really worth it right now? Do I really want to like put the energy in? Okay. So if there's a deficit of $10,000 over 1 month, okay, fine. Over the course of a year, it's $120,000, assuming there's no change, assuming you don't fix it and things get better and better and better. Over the course of 30 years, because once this problem is solved at the unconscious level and you know how to focus on your future and you know how to take action, that problem doesn't come back, whether it's anxiety, depression, not knowing what to do, staying in freeze mode, whatever that is, the accumulated effect of 30 years ends up being $3.6 million. So I don't know how old everyone is on this call. I will be honest, I have had a $120,000 a year problem for about 15 to 20 years. Kind of makes me want to vomit, but you know, at least I took action when I did. So my point is, I wish someone had sat me down and said, hey, this deficit you're experiencing right here, it's not a terribly big deal right now, but over the course of the next 30 years, can you see what you're losing out on? So money is an easy quantifier, right? That's why you see business people online talking about money. It's like, it's quantifiable. Let's talk about the internal pain, okay? Whether it's anxiety, depression, indecision, feeling the impact of all of that stored trauma and not knowing where it's coming from, having fear that like surfaces all of the time, like living in dread. I don't know if anyone here has ever known what it's like to live in dread. That was me. Dread and panic and fear and worry. Think about it like this. That problem, if it were between completely getting rid of it, knowing it was gone and you never have to deal with it like that again, like it's gone, like gone, like not managed, not pushed away, but like gone, like it's no longer your issue. If it were between that and walking up to an ATM and seeing $10,000, which would you choose? It's not a trick question, not a trick question at all. But if you're like 99% of people, you're like, I would totally choose the problem to be gone. I just don't really believe it's possible. Good news is you really don't have to have the belief that it's possible. It is possible, but it's a frame to think differently about what is the amount of pain and suffering I'm enduring month to month to month to month that is compounding in my body, in my relationships, in my bank account, in my dream life. Kind of sucks to think about, but no one ever framed that to me until I looked back from when I started my own journey, living my purpose, right? Like everyone here has a purpose. Everyone here has a big dream. Everyone here is connected to something larger. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now I'm going to let Erica share. So like, here's what people who have done this work have to say, and they're all here. Actually, I don't know if Nubs is, but Erica stopped people pleasing, period, and doubled her rates. I think she doubled her income too. I'll let her tell you about that. Caroline's here. She's now in touch with her needs and no longer experience the consistent shame, guilt, and self-judgment. Like she has a different experience. Georgia released internal blocks that was keeping her playing small. And y'all look, the work is never really done, right? Like all this can be removed, but you still have to take different action. So I just want to frame that. Kristen used to live in amygdala hijack. And now she has the energy to work out and she's connected to her body's wisdom. Nubs, he goes by Nubs. This dude lost 30 pounds and it changed his relationship, his work, and his life in general. He's like a different human. And then Kara, she like has things just falling out of the sky, opportunity after opportunity. So I'm going to let these guys share a little bit. And if you want to ask them questions, I've told them they have the liberty to say whatever they want. Got it, Megan, thanks. But hey, Megan, if you like, go ahead and schedule that call too, that amygdala reset call. All right, so Erica, you want to go, lady?
Yeah, I'll be quick. Listen, I'm a Black girl from Brooklyn who comes from lineages of trauma. My father's from North Carolina, literally was chased and almost killed by the KKK. He sat down and did desegregation sit-ins at Woolworth. So that runs through my body. My mother was born in Panama, and she didn't find out that she was adopted until she was 19 years old. And instead of dealing with that, she came to America. Those two met, they made me and my sister. I grew up in a household full of conflict all the time because I had two people who had a bunch of things happen to them, create a family, and no one figured out how to deal with their shit. So I became the ultimate people pleaser because I'm an empath and I just wanted peace in my life. I brought that with me until my adulthood. And when I finally got the courage to start my own business, I was self-sabotaging left and right. And when I finally got the courage to figure out how to handle all this, I knew what was happening, but I didn't know how to fix it, right? And so when I finally sat down with Caroline and I signed my evidence procedure, which she'll talk about if you end up working with her as a client. I did a breakthrough at Caroline when I signed my evidence procedure to say, okay, here's how we're going to know that after this breakthrough that I've finished, the next day I had to take my son to the emergency room. And I found out that he had type 1 diabetes the day before his birthday. So I had and I had been working on it, but it was so crazy. I had signed my evidence procedure and the universe was like, great, you want to stop people pleasing? Here's a problem for you. So I got thrown into the healthcare system with a sick child. My son is 6, my daughter is 3. And let's just say between the healthcare system and the education system, I had to fight all the time to get my son the treatment and the care that he deserved. And every inch of me was thinking about, oh my God, am I bothering this person? Oh my God, like, am I being too pushy? Oh my God, do they think I'm a bitch? And then all of a sudden working with Caroline, I'm like, wait a minute. She talked about that mama bear energy. And I curse, I'm from Brooklyn, sorry. Don't fuck with me and mine. Don't do it. And so I was given the opportunity to release all of that shit that I grew up with, that people-pleasing mentality, and I was able to release all of the trauma that came from both sides of my family. And when I tell you, I railroaded these two systems, the New York City education public school system and the healthcare system, to make sure that my son got every single thing that he needed and deserved. And all of that was like, wow. I mean, I'm just so grateful that I got to do that while Caroline was holding my hand. I don't think there was a day in the month of May that I did not cry. I was actually, the reason why I almost was not here yesterday is because my daughter was in the emergency room also with unexplained back pain. And I had to do the same thing over again. Fight, 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 advocate, advocate, advocate. And finally we came up with a diagnosis. and she's fine. She just had strep throat, which is crazy. I just got a text, Caroline, from like, oh, she tested positive for strep throat, which manifested as back pain and vomiting. Anyway, all this to say, while all this was happening, I was not marketing my business because I was taking care of my children, right? Clients just started coming to me. And the last client that, listen, I sell, you know, I do transformational work as well. And there was something in me where I did not want to ask for what I thought I was worth, because again, there was that people pleasing part of it, right? So I'm happy to say that after I cleared all this, I asked for $10,000 and I got $7,000 and a video testimonial. I never would have had the courage. Never. Like I had been asking for, oh, $1,500 there. Oh, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to, you know, hurt people. I don't want to take money from people. I don't want to do all that. Fuck that. I do good work and people need me. My kids need me to show up the way that I'm showing up now. And I'm telling you all, once I started doing this work, once Caroline was there with me to hold my hand, like I just signed my first high ticket client. I literally doubled my rate. My previous client, I only charged $3,500. I got 7,000. It all happened. And so I just, everything that Caroline just said is true. It is real. My generational trauma runs deep. My childhood trauma runs deep. But now I have the tools, the resources, and the knowledge, and I see it expressing itself in many ways. My son is back at school, healthy and happy with his insulin pump. My daughter is back home. She's back in school, and I've doubled my rates. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you all for listening. And I want what I received and what I got. I wish all of that for you and 10 times more. Because guess what? All of us women, when you think about what has happened to women over generations and generations and generations, we all have that neurology in us. And I just believe so much in what Caroline is doing, because I feel like she really is trying to heal all of that in us. And she helps me do it. So thank you all for your time. And if y'all think about working with her, baby, you better sign up, honey. Okay, I'll stop.
I love you, Erica. Thank you. And y'all, emotions don't disappear. Erica and I had a conversation last night, and Erica, I'm hoping I can share this, but she was feeling the guilt, right? But she was putting her and her family first and rearranging her schedule while still making money and feeling the guilt. So like emotions are gonna show up. It's just how do we deal with it and how do we position it? I'm gonna have Kristen. Kristen, can you pop on?
Okay. Hey.
Hi. I don't think we can see your face, but we can hear your voice, but we have your face on the screen. So like y'all, Kristen was living in Amygdala Hijack. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you talk. Go ahead. What was your experience before and after? Just, yeah, share from the heart. It's fine.
So can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay. So I was living with like diagnosed PTSD for a very long time. So living with constant anxiety. So I don't know if anyone knows how PTSD works, but like everyone has a baseline of like what a normal state is. And then like when something a little bit scary happens, they go up to this, and then like something dramatic goes to this for like stress levels and anxiety. So I was living in a constant state of here, and I was very easily triggered. Something small that shouldn't have triggered much anxiety would jump me up to like shut down. So
Like you
it was
couldn't
to
drive, right? When getting in the car,
Sorry?
wasn't it like hard to drive? Like you couldn't, like even getting in the car was scary.
Yeah. So like it was probably the worst in the car. However, like it just was like leaking. The longer I let it go, the more it was just leaking into everything into my life. So I was to the point where like I was having a hard time talking to people, because that, like someone asking me a simple question, sometimes that could trigger me to like panic, and I would shut down and I would freeze. Like I remember doing presentations and stuff, and halfway through I'd be like, my brain would literally go into panic, freeze, and I would just sit down in the middle of like talking about something where I was doing a presentation. Like I would just sit because I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then once I had a baby, then it kind of also went into postpartum depression, and my life became like unfunctional. So I wasn't able to get through the day because my just anxiety and everything was just so high that it was just draining the energy out of me. So working with Caroline has made it so that I can now public speak. I get through all of that, no issues, and I don't forget what I'm saying or forget words and then panic. So that's been amazing. And I'm also able to enjoy my time with my toddler without feeling constantly exhausted from the anxiety. So,
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. And she actually thank you, Kristen, so much. She actually was able to allow her toddler to feel the realm of anger and rage and calm him at the end of it. So like she's already changing the generational cycle by doing things differently. Anyway, thank you so much, Kristen. You're awesome. And y'all, look, typically the thing that is holding you back will surface in the middle of the process. These people will talk about every time. Whatever it is, that's the problem. It's sucking all the energy is the thing that'll pop up. Okay, Caroline, are you ready?
Hi. Hey.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am hearing from all of y'all and learning about all of this with all of you guys is so inspiring for me. I am 23, almost 24, and I didn't start on this journey till 4 years ago, and it's been pretty powerful ever since. And some of the most powerful progress that I've made was with Dr. Caroline. I realized I had gotten so disconnected from my body through traumas that I'd experienced, especially in and around COVID. And all of that brought up that I was carrying expectations, whether it was from parents or grandparents or friends or mentors. I was so concerned about making everybody else proud that I didn't realize what it was that I needed and what I wanted. And so whenever I couldn't live up to those expectations or whenever it felt like I was failing, there was just an immense spiral of shame and guilt and such. And it would put me into a freeze mode. Like I couldn't do anything. I'd completely shut down and that spiral would continue. And with Dr. Caroline and some of the reprocessing that we did, it's not that, those emotions are gone, but when they come up, I can acknowledge, where they're coming from and that it's not aligned with my highest self and my highest purpose. And I'm able to hold space for those feelings instead of letting them weigh me down and keep me from taking those actions. So I'm definitely still working on it, but coming back to the connection of like my mind, my body, and my spirit working as one and of working against each other has made a significant impact so far.
Love that. Thank you. Didn't you say your chest, and Kristen's too, didn't you say like the weight of your chest lifted, like the weight that was on here constantly was gone?
Oh, for sure. There was like a literal physical weight that felt lifted. And we had also talked about my throat chakra being blocked and, in finding my truth and speaking my truth and sharing traumas that I, was too ashamed to share and be honest about. Working through all of that, that's helped a whole lot too.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I don't know if Jordan's here. Nubs, are you here? He may or may not be here. I did invite a male to share only because I feel like as women, it's nice to see men who do their work too and how they can change. If he's here, I'll let him unmute, but we're going to go ahead and go to Georgia. Georgia, you there?
I'm here. I'm here. Sure. I worked with Kristen and
Caroline.
Sorry, I was just reading and saying at the same
Oh,
time.
that's right. You're in trance state, lady.
Yeah, apparently so. I worked with Caroline. She is the most amazing and compassionate person I've ever dealt with. as we were going through some of the processes, it's a matter of getting deeper and deeper to really get to the bottom of what the issue is. Because, you know, surface level is great. We live on the surface level, but it's really digging down and getting into what's the real issue here.
Mhm.
And as Caroline was asking me question after question after question, I thought I was there, and she's like, no, let's keep going. And when we finally hit it, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Okay, I see where you're going with this now. So I wanted to say that she's able to really help you get to the bottom of whatever issue you're dealing with, but she does it with compassion and care with an iron fist. It's a gentle, sweet, loving iron fist, but she's going to help you get there. She's going to give you the courage to dig deep. So I suggest you go ahead and set up an appointment with her and talk with her, because she is going to help you crash through that gate. I promise.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I love that. Sweet iron fist. All right. Thank you. And then Kara. Kara's got like magic falling out of the sky everywhere. You still here, Kara? Oh yeah, I see you.
Yeah. So when Dr. Caroline asked me to do a testimonial, I was like, do you really want me to say everything that's been going on? Because I literally sound like a crazy person. And she's like, yes, please lay it all out there. So I will try to be quick, but I put it in a list. So you guys, when you want to talk about like concrete results, and I only did one session with Dr. Caroline. It's part of a program that I'm in, and that she was a graduate of, and it's the first of more. But in our session afterwards, I wrote down like what were my takeaways from it. And one of my takeaways was, I believe that on a conscious level, I've been chosen to be a leader and lead a big movement or change. But on an unconscious level, because of what I had shared with her and things that had gone on in my life, no one in my life had ever chosen me. So I was born to a single mother. My father denied me. Like it went on and on and on. She married my stepfather. He didn't want anything to do with me. And so just thing after thing after thing in my life, I realized, oh, wow, like no one chose me. So because of that, I didn't believe unconsciously that I was actually chosen. Okay, so I want you to know that so that you can see that these things that are going on are just absolutely nutty. So after this one session that I did with Dr. Caroline, one of the things that I do for my own joy is I sing. And I have a friend who's in the tribute band industry, and he convinced me that I needed to kind of follow this, and hey, you know, that you should try to get into this, because if you want to do it on the side, there's some good money there. And so I'm like, okay. So I had somebody contact me out of the blue, and he was like, hey, we lost our singer. I really need your help. Can you help me out? And I'll build a set around you if you help me out. And I thought, hey, that'd be great to spotlight. But when I actually got into it, it was like everything he was promising, it was not what I was looking for. And so I did say to Dr. Caroline, like, I feel if I go back to God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and say, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and it's like I'm ungrateful, and will things still happen for me? And she was like, no, listen, when you put your order in, it's okay. Like, you know, just put another order in and say, hey, let me be a little more specific. So from that, I stayed with it, and I fulfilled my obligation to my friend who asked. And from that, someone saw my video and contacted me again. Dr. Caroline, you don't even know this one. Last Saturday, said, hey, I saw your video. I love what you do. And I have a booking company and a production company, and I would really like to build an act or a show around you. And so I was like, well, you know, I only want to do things for my own joy. I'm not looking to be in somebody else's band. He was like, no, whatever you want. He's like, let's talk about it. You want to do this? We'll do. And I was like, wow, whatever I want. So that's something else I didn't even share. I had a TV show contact me for entrepreneurs and said I was selected to be on it after I went through their process. I went back and said, your dates don't work out. I'm sorry, it's not going to work out for me. And they were like, oh, well, how about this one? It was like, I couldn't even say, it was like, I wasn't even allowed to say no. It was like, no, here's some more. Then also for fun, I scheduled a Mrs. Roper romp. If you don't know what that is, I can explain it if you have a question. But I just thought I was scheduling it with my friends. I put it in a Facebook event. And I don't know, maybe it's my generation. I didn't realize that Facebook still pushes that out to the public. And so at last count, 70, I think 72 people are coming that are total strangers, and 726 others have said that they're interested in coming to my event with my friends. And then from there, a travel agent contacted me and said, hey, I see that you have this event. How would you like to collaborate on a trip? And of course, you'll be free. Everything for you will be free. And I love to travel, so that's one of my things. So that was something else. And people are really starting to notice now, because one of the things I've been working on is my heart center is closed. I was a guarded person, and I've really been working on opening that up and being more open with people. And people are starting to notice, like, what's going on with you? And when I tell them little things, they're like, that's crazy, that's incredible. So this last little thing my son noticed, he and I were at Chick-fil-A, and I was in the bathroom, and there were 3 young girl employees in there, probably like teenager, early 20s. And the one girl comes in and says to the other girl, oh, you're so pretty, I just love you. And the other girl, she says, oh, and you're so pretty too. And I was washing my hands, and I looked and I said, where can I get one of you in my life? Like, do you have an aunt or your mom? Can you give me their phone number? Because I need one of you. I need a hype girl in my life. I need somebody to tell me things like that, and just kind of lighthearted and joking. And literally, like, I think that night or a day later, I didn't even realize that my son put this together. It's when I was in this meeting with this company for that wants to build an act. Their guitar player immediately recognized me. It turns out we had gone to elementary school all the way to high school together. And so I said I wanted somebody committed. Well, he was like on the spot. And we're talking, and we're working out some songs and just kind of seeing how we vibe. And he stops and he goes, Kara, you are so beautiful. Do you know that? And I was like, what? What? I was, thanks, thank you. Okay, but it was just like out of the blue. And I came home and I laughed. I told my husband, my son was there. He's like, Mom, he's like, you're magical. He's like, you just said that a few hours ago. And now you have somebody who said it to you. It was like, you like conjured that up. And I didn't even make the connection. I was like, oh, wow. So in closing, I really would love for these things to happen for me, for my business, and they're not yet, but things are unfolding, and I'm just having the most fun and the most joy, and I feel so light. I feel like fairy energy, if that makes any sense. And most of all, I feel like I have the voice to go, this isn't exactly what I want, but I want this, and then it's like, whew, out of the sky, here's a phone call, it's just all happening. And my life right now is so much fun. And I have this light or attractiveness. I don't know. I'm not talking physically. I'm just talking like my attraction is just off the charts. And I've never had that before, because remember, going back to my session, I wasn't chosen. I was the one who wasn't chosen. So it's really fun for people to choose me. And it's just a really new thing in my life, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I can't wait for it to continue.
Thank you, Kara. I love that. I don't even think I knew about the travel agent thing. And I love that you brought all that up, because Erica had some of that too. I don't think she's on the call anymore, but all of a sudden she had exited corporate, and all of a sudden she was getting corporate speaking gigs trying to contact her to come do consulting. And she said, no, I don't do that. And they were like, well, fine. What would you like to do? Would you still work with us? She's like, that's not really in what I'm going to do, but I'm open to a conversation. And then they asked her for a resume, and they were like, actually, if you don't have one, we don't really care. We're going to reach out anyway. So it's like, I love seeing this. It doesn't really matter what you say, energy, the opportunities are going to come anyway. So yeah, if you haven't booked a call, awesome. Some people are scheduled. That link, Georgia dropped it to you as well. Go ahead and get that scheduled because I would love to walk through what this could look like for you. And I have a roadmap. Thank you all for staying. I know we're over. I really appreciate you all. If anyone has questions, I can walk you through the process that Erica and Kristen are talking about in Georgia. Or you can ask questions or we can do both. Does anyone have any specific questions for me? Okay, no questions, cool. Well, here's how I approach things. And after 20 years of living in consistent amygdala hijack, I finally have it in a nice, clear, concise protocol. So one, and this is the intensive, right? This is where massive things happen fast, and it's like uploading a new identity immediately and living a new life quickly. Identifying the root of the problematic programming. That's number one. We have to light the neurology up. Number two is removing the barriers. What is keeping that problematic programming in place? So that's where we clean house, like at the septic tank level in your unconscious mind. We clear all the crap out that's keeping you where you are. Whether it's unconscious emotional needs or whether it's just old junk stored, we clear that out. Step 3 is reconnecting the mind, body, and soul and the soul purpose so that can drive all your decisions. Don't know if anyone here feels like they're all disconnected, like the mind and the body and the soul are doing 3 different things. It's frustrating and it's a big fat energy leak. So reconnecting those is step 3. Because if you've ever had a goal you're going towards and you just keep getting pulled elsewhere, they're not matching up. Mind, body, soul aren't on the same page. Most people skip 2, not knowing they're skipping 2. And this is typically where it's like, oh, like you're going to have that feeling when step 2 happens, when we take away the thing that's eating your energy. After step 3, the reconnection. Step 4 is reframing emotions. Your body's going to feel the bandwidth of all of the emotions and you're going to be successful anyway. A lot of us have this idea that I can't feel like shit and still be successful, or I can't feel the shitty emotions and live through it, or I get stuck if I even go there. So we like push it away. That was me anyway. Anybody else? Anybody else? So yeah, it like moving through the emotions, letting them happen and have our dream life anyway. So just reframing what an emotion means instead of becoming the identity of it. And then 5, and this is where unconscious belief systems are upgraded and you become a completely different human. You won't recognize yourself on the other side. Other people won't either. And the magic thing is here, this is where your whole environment adjusts around you. Like when you become the different human, your environment changes itself. So, meaning people, places, things. And then 5, that's where amygdala balance and flow happens. That's where you know what's going to tip that thing. And when it's tipped, you can determine, is this dangerous or is this an opportunity? And then you'll know, okay, this is my North Star as long as the bear's not chasing me. And you'll have tools to calm that amygdala. So it's the state of flow where you can live in joy and peace, like Kara described, and experience all the emotions and still have a massively successful life, like Erica described, and not live in the perpetual amygdala hijack, like Kristen described. And then step away from holding all of those things weighing you down like an anchor, like Georgia described. We can't see our own stuff, y'all. Unfortunately, that's the design. We cannot see our own unconscious stuff. I can't see mine. So I have to have my own coach and mentor here. I don't understand the design. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So because of that, I'm gifting you all that hour call, that amygdala reset call. So if you haven't scheduled, go ahead and do so. This is the only place I have the link available. And the next 2 weeks I'm dedicating to you all, because this is what I wish someone would have done for me. So anybody have questions, comments, concerns? Because we are finished now. Oh, thank you, Cherise. Thank you all so much for coming. Yeah, just thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. All of you are beautiful, amazing, have a wonderful life purpose, and life can change in an instant. So thank you all so much. And I'll be talking to you. Let's see, did somebody put something in the chat? Thank you, Chris. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Well, thanks, Kara.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
lady.
See you, Carolyn. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. It was wonderful